Last episode of Frantic 10 Minutes saw us come from behind to head into the Champions League quarter-finals. Plus, with our Premier League and FA Cup hopes still alive, can Everton by some miracle do a treble this season? Let's find out. But as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. A dramatic late goal is one way to put our victory against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. I thought we'd thrown it all away by conceding an absolute shocker, but incredible character and spirit by the team. We got it back on track, we turned defeat into victory, and we sealed our path through to the quarter-finals. It's this man Bakayoko who once again was at the centre of the talking points of the game. A last-minute winner by the Belgian just proves yet again, time after time, he continues to step up this season when I need him to. And speaking of stepping up, this young man Moukoko is really starting to ramp up the pressure on Brian Brobby. He's now just 3 goals behind him in the goal-scoring charts, and with Brian Brobby just falling a little bit out of form over the last few games, perhaps now is the time for the young Moukoko to finally stake his claim in our starting 11. Speaking of the starting 11 though, I did make some claims in a previous episode about the poor performances of this man Jota and question whether or not he still demanded a place in my starting 11 in place of the likes of Dwight McNeil and Cesar Huerta. But an unbelievable, world-class, sensational strike against Chelsea, and following that up with another 7 goals, means that he, somehow, some way, in the last couple of episodes, has driven his goal-scoring stats up to 8 to become our 4th highest scorer this season, as he begins to show the sort of form that he showed when he first joined the team, and shows the exact reason why I wanted to bring him to Everton in the first place. Elsewhere, after beating Aston Villa in the 4th round replay 3-0, managing to get past a fairly easy tie in the 5th round against Shrewsbury, we have been drawn a fairly favourable tie in the quarter-finals against Nottingham Forest, and with the big boys out, with the exception of perhaps Arsenal and Spurs, I am putting us in a really positive position, and I think we are very confident that we potentially could go all the way in the competition. But from the highs of the Champions League and the FA Cup to stuttering form in the Premier League, the first half of the season we were absolutely rampant at the top, but we have slipped now down to 2nd place, and Newcastle United have leapfrogged us, and now they've got a 2-point gap against us. But of course, with the Geordie club up next on their own turf at St James's Park, this is going to be a monumental clash. It is finally time for the 1st and 2nd teams in the Premier League to go head-to-head to see who has got the chops to potentially go all the way in the Premier League this season. And following on from that extraordinary Champions League game, I have made a couple of changes to my starting 11. Pickford keeps his place in goal, but Patterson comes in at right back. Gay, Branthwaite and Hatto make up the rest of the defence. Onana is once again partnered by James Garner in midfield, with Damsgaard playing in behind the striker. Bakayoko starts on the right, Jota starts on the left, but the biggest talking point is Moukoko takes the place of Brian Brobby. He's in fantastic form today, and he will be hoping to continue it in the Premier League. Here we go then, big game between the two teams, and it is a real opportunity for us to show that we can go away from home and we can stamp our authority on this Premier League title race. Branthwaite goes out to the left-hand side into Hatto. Hatto goes central into Onana, who's skipped past a couple of challenges, and he's fed in Damsgaard really nicely. Damsgaard goes all the way and strikes with his right, puts it wide. Anthony Gordon, lovely pass into the path of Livramento down that right-hand side. Gabri Veiga gets it back, but Branthwaite yet again in the right place at the right time, and he now releases Jota, and Jota has got the pace here to burst down this left-hand side. Feeds in a wonderful ball to Damsgaard. Damsgaard's going to try and continue his run into the box. The Dane just keeps on going, but in the end strikes it straight at Pope. Bakayoko to take the resulting corner. Of the two teams so far, I think we look like the most likely to score, as Nick Pope, what a monumental save off the line. That has surely kept Newcastle in the game. What a save, and what a brilliant way to keep the scores level for them. But Damsgaard is going to try and see if he can change that here right now. Nathan Patterson on the right hand side, twisting, weaving away, manages to get past the left back, throws it back in, looking for Moukoko or Jota, one of the two. Neither could get onto it, though Onana keeps it up, and the pressure is starting to mount here on Newcastle. We throw it back in yet again. It's the big Dan Burn to head it away, only out as far as Onana. Branthwaite, every single player pressing high inside the Newcastle half, but it's the final ball that just lets us down yet again, and Newcastle get it clear. Livramento has it now for Newcastle. James Garner on in place of Matt O'Reilly. He does a wonderful job of winning the ball back, and now Damsgaard has it, and Damsgaard's going to try and release a ball over to the left-hand side into the path of Jota. It's a wonderful ball. This young man is in sensational form so far in this game, but unfortunately though, Jota, the Portuguese, couldn't get past Livramento, and Newcastle yet again clear their lines. Cubo for Newcastle into Bruno Guimaraes. It's Lamina now back into Bruno. Lovely stuff from Newcastle, just building some confidence and building their way back into this game here. Some lovely passing to try and get away from my defence, but Branthwaite is again in the right place at the right time to block off the challenge. Gabri Veiga skips past Hato though. We've got to stop him from getting the ball in. It's not a good enough one. It is into the box, and Pickford again to my rescue. Lamina here as we start the second half here. Newcastle tried to bring it into my half, but James Garner once again in the right place at the right time, but Patterson loses it in a dangerous area, and now Lewis can stretch his legs down this left-hand side here for Newcastle. It's a poor ball in, and it's an easy clearance away from Mark Gay, though not a particularly good one, but Bakayoko fortunately does come across and wins the ball back in a really positive position. Damsgaard now into Garner. Garner into Nathan Patterson, looking to do a little bit better offensively than he did defensively. He's going to try and throw it into the box, looking for Jota. Couldn't find him though. Nathan Patterson being chased down. Lovely little ball though through the legs of the Newcastle midfielders. Now it's into Jota. Jota takes it onto his right. Jota surely with confidence goes to line up another strike. Doesn't manage to find the back of the net this time though. Hato into Branthwaite yet again. We are starting off this second half exactly as we started the first. High pressure, intensity here as we desperately try and see if we can find an opener. Lovely ball though from Bakayoko into Patterson, into Mokoku. Mokoku on his left. What a save from Nick Pope. That would have been a beautiful goal had it gone in the back of the net. Gabri Veiga skips past the challenge of Onana really nicely and releases Kubo on the right hand side. Gabri Veiga gets it back though, and he does manage to go past another one of my midfielders. We can't seem to win the ball back off of Newcastle yet. Just dancing, going to and fro, but in the end Damsgaard comes across. He has had a really strong game so far. Can he try and see if he can release Jota down the left-hand side? He does manage to find the Portuguese, and now yet again full of confidence, shifts onto his right, goes to strike. This time it's blocked off by Sven Botman. Alexander Isak into Anthony Gordon. Nothing to separate these two teams here. You can tell they are both evenly matched. Both have had wonderful opportunities, but neither can take them. Branthwaite tries to cut off the on-rushing run of the Newcastle defender and then manages to just go past him so easily. Brilliant composure from the centre-back. He feeds it into Bakayoko. Bakayoko now onto his left. Goes in field to Damsgaard. We're going to try and see if we can build up from the back here. Lovely pass from Damsgaard. Jota around the corner into Hato. Really nicely done. Into Mokoku. Mokoku on his right. Mokoku off the bar. It comes back out. Sven Botman gets the head away. And Newcastle just about clear their lines yet again. Branthwaite now to try and bring it forward down this right-hand side. Just 5 minutes remaining on the clock. But he's managed to find a wonderful ball into Bakayoko, who has fed in Jota. And he couldn't take it the first time. I do not believe it. That is a golden opportunity. Arguably the best of the game. It was laid on the plate for him, but he just couldn't take advantage. And have we now missed out on what could be a famous win? But James Garner picks it up again and strikes and puts it wide though. Well, my players look on disappointed. We know the opportunity for the 3 points was there. I cannot believe we were not able to take it, but two evenly matched teams cancelled each other out at the end of full time as it finishes here at the St James's Park. Newcastle 0, Everton 0. Well, there can be no doubt that missed chances definitely cost us 3 points. None more so than the glaring miss of this man Jota. I talked him up so much before the beginning of the game, but unfortunately against Newcastle he just did not live up to the hype. It was a big opportunity for us to leapfrog Newcastle up into first place, but it's one that we did not take. Speaking of big opportunities though, we have now got another one as we head straight back into the football to face off against Nottingham Forest in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, and we have a wonderful chance here to secure our place in the semi-finals, the furthest that Everton have got in a very, very long time. Another game means another opportunity to rotate this team, and as you can see though, Jordan Pickford never present in my goal. Teresiano comes back in at right back. Gay and Branthwaite do keep their places at centre back, but Ian Maatsen also comes in on the left hand side of defence. Onana once again though is partnered by Matt O'Reilly, with Dele Alli now playing in behind the striker. Bakayoko on the right, Jota on the left, and Brian Brobby comes back in place of Mokoku, who drops to the bench. Well, this is a big game and a big opportunity. It is surely a game that we must go into as the favourites. We must be expected to win, and we absolutely must get the win here today if we want to try and continue this positive Everton momentum. Going to be Brian Brobby with the throw, and it's a nice throw into the path of Matt O'Reilly, who's taken that down beautifully. He's going to try and just play it into the box. I was looking for the head of Brian Brobby, couldn't find him though. O'Brien for Nottingham Forest into Alanga. Lovely ball through the channel here into Raul Garcia, as he's cut off though by Teresiano, but it's Nottingham Forest keep the ball alive, but only out as far as Ian Maatsen, who wins it back and then plays a wonderful pass into Jota. Jota looking to play a little bit better today than he did in his last game as he drives into the box. Tried to find the ball to Brobby. It was unselfish, but it just didn't reach him in time. That was a big opportunity and another one that's gone begging. And Chels Out to Alanga, and Gels gets it back yet again centrally, and centrally we're looking a little bit vulnerable and a little bit open, but Matt O'Reilly absolutely clattered into the Nottingham Forest central midfielder there. How on earth he got away with that one, I'm not quite sure, but Dele Alli wriggles past a couple of challenges really nicely, plays it into Teresiano, back round the corner into O'Reilly yet again. O'Reilly's going to try and feed it into the box here. Absolutely beautiful. We carved Nottingham Forest open, and Bakayoko with the death touch just over the goalkeeper to give us a much-deserved 1-0 lead here inside the opening 20 minutes. Well, yet again, we cut through the Nottingham Forest defence like a knife through butter. Beautiful play and a lovely finish from Bakayoko just over the top of the goalkeeper. He did absolutely wonderful. I am absolutely delighted. It's 1-0. Alanga now trying to drive down this right-hand side. He's got the beating of Ian Matson for pace here, and he's got space to run into, but Ian Matson does come back and wins the ball back fairly. It's a real tussle between the two of them. The referee plays the advantage, and it is an advantage we're going to hopefully try and see if we can take advantage of. Onana, though, wriggling away from a couple of challenges and plays it back out to the left-hand side. Ian Matson has driven up high here. Jota round the corner into Brobby, into Bakayoko, looking to try and get his second of the game. Manages to keep the ball alive, plays it into O'Reilly. He tried to play it onto his right in the end, though he's blocked off by the Nottingham Forest defenders. Alanga now for Nottingham Forest. This game is really starting to become stretched, and his pace is really starting to be utilised here for the Nottingham Forest attack. Branthwaite does a good job of holding him up, though, and he does an even better job of winning the ball back. But Alanga, the press is unrelenting here from Nottingham Forest, desperately trying to get themselves back in the game. Jota does a really good job of winning it back, and now the Portuguese is going to try and stretch his legs down the left-hand side. He's got the beating of Alanga for pace. He continues his run. No one putting in a challenge. Can he try and see if he can find a ball into the box? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have any options, so he's going to try and keep hold of it. Does do a good job of playing it into Onana. Onana, though, can't shape up to strike, so instead plays it all the way out to the right-hand side into Teresiano. Manages to go past the defender, dinks it back in, looking for the goal scorer, Bakayoko, who's going to try and get it on the volley. It was a diving header away, though, by the Nottingham Forest defenders. It's thrown back in, this time for Dele Alli, who heads it straight into the arms of the goalkeeper. Ian Matson, yet again, down the left-hand side. He and Jota combining really nicely so far in this game as they try and see if they can double our lead here into O'Reilly. O'Reilly into Bakayoko, who's come central, has gone past two players, couldn't get past the third, though. Just crowded out as the referee blows for half-time. Well, 45 minutes down, and we've got 45 minutes to go. It's been a very professional performance here in the opening half, and we've just got to make sure that we continue that theme here as we kick off the second. Matson over to Branthwaite. Branthwaite tries to go all the way across, but speaking of being professional, that was a very unprofessional pass there. He's given it away, and now Callum Hudson-Odoi has the pace to try and drive into my penalty area. He cuts it back, looking for O'Brien. Really good start from Nottingham Forest. Raul Garcia gets the strike all wrong, and fortunately for me, he balloons it high and wide. Well, we've got a free kick here in a dangerous area. I think it's a little bit too far to go for goal, so instead I'm just going to try and see if I can dink it into the penalty area and try and see if I can find the head of one of my towering strikers, as Jota is the man who finds the head. He wasn't exactly the man I was looking for, but he was only inches away from doubling our lead. It was a strong header, but in the end, it was just high and wide over the crossbar. Nottingham Forest now starting to push more men up here, and they've almost got every single player in my half. And now they've tried to get into the box. It's cut back in. O'Brien, lovely play. And Jordan Pickford yet again to the rescue. Well, Nottingham Forest open me up at will here, and with just 20 minutes remaining, we've got to keep our composure. We cannot let this slip. We are the favourites, but we have to remind ourselves that we only have a very slim 1-0 lead here, as it's a big head, unmarked, towered above my defenders, but fortunately enough for me, it was straight at Jordan Pickford. If it was either to his left or to his right, Nottingham Forest would be level. Gaia now into O'Brien. Nottingham Forest have really got their tails up here. It's just the pace. It's really, really hurting my high back line here. I'm really struggling to contain the Nottingham Forest forwards as Callum Hudson-Odoi into O'Brien. This time it's O'Reilly who comes across. We doubled up on our man. Unfortunately enough, defensively, we just about managed to hold firm. Branthwaite right down the centre into the path of the substitute Damsgaard. He goes out wide to Teresiano on the right-hand side, into Bakayoko. Takes it on his left really nicely. Tries to play it central. We got the pass all wrong, but fortunately enough, it does bounce back in my favour. And now Teresiano tries to play it inside. Finds Damsgaard. We are struggling here. This is a low block Nottingham Forest defence, as they're going to look to try and spring a trap on us and try and see if they can hit us on the counter. But we are still managing to just keep hold of the ball, keep possession, keep control, and just keep our composure and make sure that we don't do anything silly here, as Bakayoko plays it into Teresiano, across the box, into the back post. I was looking for Dwight McNeil, got the ball all wrong though. Fortunately enough though, the referee did blow the whistle, and that single solitary goal was enough to seal our path into the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Yet again, that man Bakayoko stepping up to the plate when I needed him to. Full time here, it's another clean sheet as we beat Nottingham Forest away from home 1-0. And in other news, with the unlikely result of Norwich beating Arsenal 2-1 in the quarter-finals, it means it's another big boy that's been knocked out of the competition. And with us drawn against Crystal Palace, we have high hopes that we can reach the FA Cup final. But speaking of cup draws, in even bigger news, the Champions League quarter-finals have finally been drawn. And my word, what a mouth-watering clash we have as we've been drawn against English giants Manchester City. To being favourites in the FA Cup to surely being underdogs in the Champions League. It's a mammoth clash, and it's one that we are going to have to be at our absolute best on if we want to get through to the semi-finals. With the games coming thick and fast though, once again it is back to the football, and once again, fortunately enough, we are back to winning ways as we secure a 2-1 victory in the Premier League against Burnley. But our up and down form in the league continues in this second half of the season, as from the highs of victory, we now succumb to a draw as it's another 2 points dropped, this time against Bournemouth, 1-1. And whilst, yes, we may have a game in hand on Newcastle United at the top, they have managed to stretch the gap to now 5 points, which means we absolutely need to keep winning if we want to keep the pressure on the Geordie club. But to keep on winning is not going to be an easy task when you've got to head to the Emirates to face off against a resurgent Arsenal side. And with this being an Arsenal side that are fighting us for our title aspirations, it is a return back to my usual strongest starting 11, and that means Pickford in goal, Teresiano, Gay, Branthwaite and Hatto at the back, Onana, Damsgaard and Riley in midfield, Bakayoko, Jota and Brian Brobby up front. Well, at a time when we've had a lot of hit and miss results in the Premier League, this is a time when it absolutely has to be a hit. We must get 3 points here. We've got to keep the pressure up on Newcastle, and it will help us put daylight between ourselves and the North London club. Martinelli, though, has it for Arsenal and finds Zinchenko. Zinchenko into Timber to bring it out of defence, and that is a midfield splitting pass into Sambi Lokonga. Back out to Martinelli. Lovely play from Arsenal here into João Felix, the former Chelsea man. Tries to line up a strike. In the end, Pickford just about gets his hand to it. But as you can see, Arsenal have a free kick here in a very dangerous position. And it is one that it looks like either Martinelli or Saka is going to step up to take. It will be Saka. Lovely strike, but just puts it wide. Mark Gay into Branthwaite. Branthwaite turns immediately under pressure from Saka. And the Arsenal forward steams into the back of him. And I think he can count himself very lucky that he hasn't got a card. Hatto. Round the corner into Onana, really nicely done, and Onana feeds it back into Hatto. Hatto now into Brobby, lovely ball. It was just inches away there from just knocking it round the bend, but Tapsoba read it beautifully, and now Arsenal have been released yet again, and yet again it is the danger man, Saka, down that right-hand side. Hatto frantically trying to come across. Brilliant defending from the young Dutchman. Absolutely sensational. And now he drives down and powers down this left-hand side. Feeds it back in for Onana. Onana looking for the run into the centre. That is a beautiful ball into Damsgaard. Damsgaard on his right just places it into the bottom right-hand corner. And goals do not get much better than that. Absolutely incisive. Well, it all started from the Dutchman Hatto winning the ball back right on our penalty area, but it was Onana with a defence-splitting pass through the centre, and Damsgaard, what brilliant composure, just shifted his weight onto his left foot just so he could strike it with his right, round Ramsdale and into the bottom right-hand corner. I am absolutely over the moon. It's 1-0. Bradley tries to dink it over the right-hand side. Where on earth is Hatto pushing way too high? And there is just acres of space on this left-hand side. Branthwaite's going to try and come across here to try and block off the run of Saka. He's done a really good job, but in the end, he hasn't managed to do a good enough job, though, as Saka still has the ball. This time, Jota comes across, and he concedes a corner. And it's a corner that Arsenal takes short, and it's one that Martinelli picks up. Saka has it in the box into Sambi Lokonga, who strikes. Pickford, though, will deal with that all day. He made a bit of a hash of it. Perhaps he could have caught it, but in the end, Mark Gay does manage to bring the ball clear. Teresiano down the right-hand side into Bakayoko, takes a touch, releases Damsgaard. Damsgaard, lovely ball into the path of Brian Brobby, and Brobby through the channel. Absolutely beautiful. Bakayoko shifts it onto his left, goes to strike, but Tapsoba yet again is in the right place at the right time. João Felix now into the path of Martinelli, who has the beating of Mark Gay now for pace. Can he get into the penalty area? He doesn't. Instead, he checks back into Sambi Lokonga, and that allows me to try and get some men back. But Sambi Lokonga has just driven into the penalty area here unopposed. Jordan Pickford, what is he doing? Teresiano just about manages to get to the rebound. Unfortunately enough, we clear our lines, but only out as far as Zinchenko. Matt O'Reilly comes across. It's going to be another corner. Well, right on the stroke of half-time, Arsenal ramping up the pressure here, and they are rampant as they try and see if they can get a goal here just before the the referee blows, but Jota wins it back as the referee doesn't in fact blow for half-time. Well, it was a solid 45 minutes. We did get the goal that we needed, but we did start to live life on the edge there at the back end of the half. Arsenal really in the ascendancy and looking like the more likely team to get themselves back into this game. And as we start the second half here, they again are beginning to press from the front. It's Martinelli, the danger man, on that left-hand side, ghosting into my penalty area. Mark Gay tries to come across. He does come across. Good, strong defending from the Englishman. It's going to be Branthwaite now to try and bring it out of defence unopposed. Finds a lovely ball into Hato. Hato comes central into Jota. Jota's going to look to return the ball back to him. He does. Hato still has it though. Can he try and find a ball into Damsgaard? Does a really good job. Damsgaard with such venom and power though. Straight at Ramsdale. This time he can't add to his tally. It's going to be Bakayoko. Who is going to take, the resulting corner. Fires it in. Looking for the head of Brobby. Doesn't manage to find it, but Mark Gay will find the return ball and play it back into Bakayoko. Didn't get the cross right though. It took a little bit of a deflection. It does find its way back to Jota though. And the Portuguese now shapes up. Looks to strike on his right. Does strike. Just puts it over the bar. Timber for Arsenal. They're going to look to try and build out from the back here with their towering centre-back Tapsoba, who has been a towering figure at the back. If it was not for him, this could have perhaps been 2 or 3-0 to Everton. But they've done brilliantly to cut through my midfield. And now it's Trossard. But Mark Gay in the right place at the right time. But got the clearance all wrong here. And we are just all over the place. And Branthwaite looks like he's just given away a desperate foul with a desperate lunge. And he's got a yellow card for his troubles. The referee has blown. And Arsenal have a penalty. Mark Gay did all the work. We can have no complaints. It was a certain penalty. But let's check out the replay here. Mark Gay did a brilliant job of intercepting the ball and then just smashed it against his own player, Matt O'Reilly. And that was the catalyst for the problems. Couldn't get there ahead of the Arsenal forward, and Branthwaite couldn't get there ahead of Saka. Took him out from behind, and we can have no complaints. It does mean, though, that it is going to be that man Saka to step up, but it is saved by Jordan Pickford. A huge save in the context of our Premier League title race. My word, the Evertonians have gone crazy in the stands. Trossard still has it for Arsenal, though. The attack is still alive. Saka, though, blasted against Ian Maatsen. Teresiano hacks it away. Anywhere will do at this point. Well, some tired legs from Branthwaite means that I am going to make a couple of substitutions with just 15 minutes remaining on the clock. We have to try and see if we can do everything we can to see out what will be a huge 1-0 victory. But Saka yet again goes into the box here. This time it's Sangante on as a substitute. Branthwaite replacement, who does come across in the right place at the right time. And now Mukoku is released. Down the left-hand side, he tried to play in the on-rushing run of Onana, but couldn't find him. It was really poor. Timber for Arsenal. Lovely ball into the path of the right-back Bradley, and he feeds it back across into Saka. If it is going to come for Arsenal, if the goal is going to come, it looks like it is going to come from that man Saka. Lo Celso, the former Spurs man, plays it into Trossard. Pickford out again. Lo Celso has it once again. Sangante gets in the way. He keeps it alive, but puts it in the side netting. Well, I cannot believe the Argentine has crossed the North London divide into Spurs' arch rivals Arsenal, and he had a wonderful opportunity there to try and equalise, but he couldn't take it. And are they going to rue that missed chance now as we stretch the play down the right-hand side? Teresiano plays it into Damsgaard. Damsgaard on his left. What a save by Ramsdale. Denied at the death. My word, it was a wonderful opportunity. But again, we have another one with Cesar Huerta this time, who puts it wide. My word, I am struggling to catch my breath here. An end-to-end game. Absolutely extraordinary scenes here at the Emirates. Can we hold on here? We are deep into stoppage time. Arsenal surely, have they got one more attack left in them? But in the end, they drag it out of play. Ian Maatsen will take the throw. I take it short to Onana, play it back to Pickford, and the referee blows for full time. That is an absolutely huge result, and it is one that my players are delighted about. The celebrations can begin. I salute the travelling fans. There can be no denying their support got us over the line, but the goal of this man Damsgaard was the pivotal moment in this game, as it's enough to seal victory. It's 1-0 Everton. A massive win in the context of the Premier League title race means that we cut the gap now just to 2 points again from Newcastle, but we do have a game in hand and we've got a wonderful opportunity to leapfrog them into first. And with the semi-final of the FA Cup against Crystal Palace still to come in our very next episode, along with a double header in the quarter-finals of the Champions League against Manchester City, it is an episode that you do not want to miss. But as for today, that is that. I hope you did enjoy the episode as much as I did, and hopefully I will see you again next time. Thanks for watching.